your host today, and I have my guest presentation by Dhanraj sir, and he is in Dynamics Navision Business Central expert from last few years, almost 14 years now, and he's been delivering the corporate trainings as well along with them. And we thought of pulling him in this session. I think I'm sure that the last session was very wonderful, obviously, and you liked it. And in case you have any suggestions, please post it in our groups, or you can talk to me one to one. You can send me. You can have an open discussion on the forum as well. This recordings will be shared on the LinkedIn. The options which my team, sir, or anybody else in the group will be sharing is not what Microsoft says, or it is not concerned with anything to do with Microsoft. So uh, we can talk here freely. Should be fine. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So I think we are all good. We can get started with Dhanraj sir. Our motive of this particular session would be giving you more insights on the sales process today. But overall, our motive is to share our knowledge, share and care the knowledge to everyone. In case anybody is starting their career, they can get started with us. In case you require uh, more details on the session or you need more mentorship, we are also available. We are a team of 5 people right now. We're from various technologies like obviously on the Microsoft itself, but people are coming from technical background, functional background. Then we have business central capabilities also, and then Power Platform, Power BI, and Azure. So in case you require any help, any mentorship is required, definitely we are open to give you the great knowledge, and what knowledge we have been sharing to you will be nice. You can also prepare the sessions and talk in open forum if it is needed. You can use our same platform. We will be sponsoring you, so should not be an issue. Yeah, so I will hand over to Dhanraj sir, who is an expert in Business Central from past 14 years. And thank you. Yeah, over
Uh,
to Dhanraj sir.
Thanks, Somesh. Could you please confirm that I am audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome all, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon your location. And thanks for sparing your time on a Saturday or on a weekend for learning. And let me start with thanking the founder members of the user group who has taken this initiative. And I think it's about already a couple of months, and we had pretty good sessions in the past. And today, last session we covered introductory stuff of Business Central, and today's focus will be around sales process in Business Central. So, agenda of the day, we will talk about the sales process, how sales process is handled in Business Central. So we will start with the creation of sales code. Then we will discuss about blanket sales order, work with sales order, ship items, invoice items. We will talk about payment terms and payment method. We will see how we can receive or register payments from customers. There is a concept called drop shipment, wherein, for example, if your vendor and your customer are in same location, or maybe due to whatever reason you want to uh, not bring the shipment from your vendor into your warehouse, rather directly would like vendor to deliver the goods to your customer. So there we can use drop shipment functionality of Business Central. Then we will see how to configure recurring sales lines. For example, if your recurring expenses, you pay for insurances, you pay salaries, or some recurring things every month, every week, or something like that. So for those, we can create recurring sales lines. Then we will talk about we have posted invoice, and then later on we realized that there was something wrong and we want to correct those posted sales invoices. So there is provision for that. In between we will also talk about undo shipment, and we have something called payment tolerance, which you can define at the setup level. And we will see that, for example, if there was some small residual amount left, there was an invoice and customer has paid, and maybe, for example, few cents or a dollar or something, a very small amount is left. So in that case, if you don't want to keep your entries open and you want to close that, so we can use payment tolerance there. So payment tolerance, and we will see discounts. Then we will talk about manage sales returns, receive payment, customer payment registration, and payment application, how to apply payment, how to unapply, and all that. So that's on the agenda part. This is about me. My contact details, my social media details are given. I'm working in Dynamics Business Central NAV from last 16 years. Was MVP, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional from 2010 to 13. I've done PMP, PMI, Agile Certified Practitioner, Microsoft Certified Trainer, and Scrum Master. I've reviewed 3 books, technical review of 3 books before publication, and I have YouTube channel also, where I generally upload share knowledge related to Business Central. We will see how to create sales quote, and this is general overview of a sales process. We enter a sales quote or enter a blanket order. We will see what is blanket order and why blanket orders are used. Then from either of these, we can convert these to a sales order, or we can create a sales order from scratch also. Not necessary that we will convert from a sales quote or blanket order only, but we can start a new sales order. Then we will see while posting, we get 3 options: ship, invoice, ship and invoice. So post the shipment. When we post the shipment, it creates a document which is called posted sales shipment. Posted sales shipment will have impact on your inventory. Your inventory will reduce. The items which you have sold or sent out from your warehouse, that inventory will reduce. So it will create item ledger entries, will have impact on inventory. Either during that step itself or later on, we can create the invoice. So it will create posted sales invoice, and this will have financial implications. General ledger will update chart of account, will update your customer ledger, will create customer ledger entry, customer's balance will get updated. And so on the left side, we see update the customer card. So when we say update the customer card, customer's balance will be updated. Now, after that, we generally receive payment from customer, record customer payment, and it will again update your balance of the customer, or it will update chart of account, customer ledger entries will be created. And from sales quote directly we can convert to invoice also. We will see how to do that. And once the invoice is created, we can post the invoice. Okay, and this process suggests or shows us that invoice will be posted, and later on the entries for payment will be created separately. So we need to create a separate document or journal entry for receiving payment. But let's say if the business is such that, or if there are some certain customers who pay along with your receiving goods, and you don't want to do additional step that you don't want to create additional step for receiving payment. So is there a way that while you invoice, in the same step you can do the payment part also? So the answer is yes, we can do that while you post the invoice using appropriate payment method. If we select appropriate payment method, then we can receive the payment in that step itself, and there will not be need of creating a separate document or separate process for payment that we will see in the system. So let's start the demo part. So before going to create the code, I would like to show you the sales and receivable setup. So almost every module of Business Central has a setup table, which decides how that module will work, or wherein we enter the stuff related number series, dimensions, and certain governing parameters of that module. So for example, we are in sales and receivable setup now. So discount posting, whether we don't no discount will be posted, or we want to allow invoice discount, line discount. So there are invoice discounts and line discounts. So in discount posting, we can either say no discount, or invoice discount, or line discount, or all discounts. Okay, by default, generally option is all discounts. Then credit warning, whether we want to show credit limit related warning or overdue warning. If there is overdue payment from customer, then whether we want to show that warning or not, or no warning, we don't want to show any warning. Stock out warning, ship on invoice, return receipt. So these are certain deciding factors. So where logo position on the document, whether no logo or on the left side or
Yeah,
center or right.
Zanraj sir, one question. Are you sharing the Business Central URL as well? Like, did you share the screen? We can only see.
Oh,
Yeah, only
okay,
see.
okay. Thanks for, mm, yeah, I'm sharing that screen. So looks like,
Yeah, just reshare it, no problem. Thanks, Archit, for pointing out.
is it visible now?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
And we can decide whether external document number is mandatory. For example, when you post invoice, whether the uh, external document number is mandatory or not. Uh, okay. Then we can enter number series, customer number series. What is the number series? A system, when you create a customer system, there is a provision that the number of the customer will be generated from number series. Similarly for quote, blanket order. So what are the number series associated? Based upon that number series, the number will be generated. Okay, and background posting and all. So this is on the sales and receivable setup, and let me show you general ledger setup also, where I talked about payment tolerance, that we can define the payment tolerance. Okay. For example, there was invoice of $100 or 100 rupees for that matter, and customer has paid, let's say 99, and now there is a remaining amount of one rupee or $1, and you don't want to keep the entries open, and you want to close that. So in those scenarios, payment tolerance comes into picture. So we can define payment tolerance percentage, 1% or whatever percentage we say that, okay, if the amount paid is within this range, if the remaining amount is within this range, within 1%, then we want to close that entry. Or you can say that maximum payment tolerance. So the amount, let's say, was 10,000, and 1% will become 100. So you don't want to close that 100, but if you want to specify that up to maximum 5 unit amount only, I'll allow. So minimum of these two, lesser of these two. For example, if invoice of 100, one payment tolerance 1% is 1, and maximum is 5. So in that case, up to one only, one only it will consider in the tolerance, payment tolerance range. So we will see this later on. So let's start with creation of a customer. A customer can be created using templates. We can define various templates. For example, in this company, we have defined these templates: business to business customer, cash payment. Let's say I'm creating one customer for cash. So using template, the advantage is certain fields. For example, if we see here, general business posting group, general product posting group, and all these data are entered by default from the template. Payment terms, cash on delivery, payment method, cash. So that's the advantage of using template, and then we can enter the name of the customer. Now we are creating, we are not going to block it, but for example, if later on, due to some reason, if you want to block transactions with this customer, so there is a provision, you can either block shipment or invoice or all. Who is the salesperson code from your internal team? You can tax registration number of that company. Payment terms, what are payment terms? COD is cash delivery. So in payment terms, we define what are our payment terms. Let's see what all is there in terms, payment terms. Let's create one more new payment term, 45 days. Due date calculation is or some formula for calculation of due date, 45 days. If means customer is supposed to pay within 45 days. Discount date, there could be a possibility that okay, you are supposed to pay within 45 days, but if you pay within 15 days, we will give you 1% discount or something like that. We will see this discount coming into picture later on during the. And there is another thing which is called payment method, which decides how the customer is going to pay, whether it will be bank, cash, or. And in this one, there is a field which is called balancing account number. And we see in this payment methods, already defined payment methods in the system, only the cash is having balancing account number. So I was talking about that one step in which when you post the invoice, in that step itself, if you want to create the payment entry also, that you have posted the invoice and you have received the payment also, so that there is net balance change is 0. So in that, this payment method should have balancing account number. If you are using a payment method which is having some balancing account number and you are posting an invoice, so payment entry will also be created. We will see that later on the demo. Generally, we create invoice and receive the payment in a separate step. But if you want to combine that, so there the payment method comes handy. We can specify there is provision for special pricing also. Okay, so customer card or prices, this customer item number, or I'll show that in more detail at the item card level, not from this window. Let's create one item also. And after that, we will move to code. So in this case also, there are templates. Service items, item number, sale tech, office furniture, or If you want to stop this, discontinue selling this item, dealing in this item, then at that point in time you can block it. Item category code you can define whether it's a chair, furniture, or what. What is the costing method? Unit price we can enter, let's say unit price default is 500. You can block sales, purchasing block if you want to, and we can have a different unit of measures also. You buy in pieces, dozens, sell in dozens, or whatever, means there can be different unit of measures be defined. Now talking about pricing. On the item card, we defined 500 as the unit price. Now we have provision for special price. For example, it can be based upon certain customer. You have some high demand or more buying customers whose transactions or is high. If you want to give special price to them, let's say for this customer the rate applicable is 400. We can also define that if he buys, let's say, more than 10 pieces, then only 400 will be applicable. We can also define that this special price is applicable in the month of December for first 15 days only. Or it can be, what are various parameters here? Customer price group, all customers, campaigns. So we can define for customer price group, those customers which are in this customer price group. One minute. Yeah, customer price group, and you have not defined any customer price group. We can define at the customer price group all, whether this will be applicable for certain date range for all customers. Okay, and without any minimum quantity, 450 if they buy, let's say you have some sales, or if you are running certain campaigns, so during that campaign, okay, looks like this campaign date is already defined from this date range, then this the price. So we can define the prices based upon these criteria. So at the card level it's 500, but there are special prices also. You change might, it takes a while. Do you want to continue? Now let's start with the sales code. Let's say your customer has requested, sent you by email or by some medium, and requested for providing quotation of certain items. They want to buy X these items, and what are the price they are requested for quotation. This external document number is their reference document number, RFQ. That's a 001. These details are populated from the customer's master record. Location code is your warehouse location code. Let's say customer has asked for 20 quantity of this item and 50 of the other item. Unit price, remember we entered 500 as the unit price. Tax group code, I think we did not enter at the payment terms is 1 month 8 day, means payment due date will be after 1 month. Discount is applicable up to 8 days. Tax liable, we can see the summary here. Total excluding tax is 35,000. Total tax is equal to 2100, and total including tax. If there is any internal approval required, we can set up. We can send for approval. In this system, I think I have not enabled approval. We can send by email to customer or attach as PDF or take a printout. Now let's say you have sent it. Customer has discussed internally, and either they might negotiate with you. You can change the price, or and once they agree to buy you and want to place an order with you, you can make order from here, or you can make an invoice also. I'll go ahead with the creation of order. Do you want to convert the code to an order? I would say yes. The code has been converted to this. Do you want to open the new order? So the sales order is created now. Posting date, order date, due date. So let's say see what are our payment terms. Payment terms is 1 month 80, and where is our due date? Prepayment, payment discount date. Okay, this 20th is calculated because 1 month 8 days. Okay, so we are saying that if your due date is after 1 month, but your prepayment discount is applicable after 8 days. Okay, that's why this payment discount date is 20th based upon the document date. Due date is 12th May. Your document date is 12th April. Due date is 1 month, and that's why due date is 12th May. Let's say if we change payment terms, I created 145 days, right? Net 45, or was it 45 days? 45 days. So now the due date, prepayment, not prepayment terms, rather payment. Okay, payment terms. Payment terms have changed 45 days, and due date is changed. So document date plus 45 days is due date. Now we have quantity 20 and 50. By default, quantity to ship and quantity to invoice will also be same. Okay, let's say you have less stock and you want to send 10 this quantity and 20 this, and then you post it. When you post it, you will get three options: ship, invoice, ship and invoice. General posting setup doesn't exist. Identification field and values, business, international and retail. So general posting setup. Let's international, retail. We will copy the accounts from just above this. So the posting setup decides which account will be hit during the process. Cost of goods sold. From here we can open the posted sales shipment. So this is a shipment, posted sales shipment created, and now we can find the entries created by this find using find entries. So what it has done is created a posted sales shipment, then item ledger entries are created. So these are the item ledger entries created with the quantity as minus 20 and minus 10. Your stock, if we go back and check the stock of these items, it will get be reduced from the initial one, and value entries are created. Now up to this point we have not invoiced it, and the customer's balance is not impacted. If we go back and check customer's balance, there will not so far customer ledger entry is not created, customer's balance has not been impacted. Okay, let's say we have not yet invoiced, and due to whatever reason, if it was created wrongly, clerical mistake or something, if you want to undo the shipment, that can be done. So when I did undo, 10 were shipped, so minus 10 is done, line wise undo is done. So if we go back to the order and see how much quantity is shipped, how many quantities are shipped. So for this one, there is no quantity shipped. 20 quantity are shipped of this material because 10 were shipped and then we did undo, rolled back. So that's why it is not showing us quantity shipped at 0 here, whereas in this one it is 20. We are on the customer card. Balance of the customer is this much. If we see customers ledger entries, these are customer ledger entries, open customer ledger entries. And for the order which we have shipped, there is no customer ledger entry as of now. Going back to up to quote, there is no commitment from customer that they will buy it. They were just asked the prices and you have provided. Once it is an order, there is commitment from and to the customer. You are also committing and customer is also committing to you. Create directly or the sales order can be created directly or it can be converted from other documents. The other documents are like sales quote and blanket sales order. We will see blanket sales order. It affects your planning of item availability. We can process shipment and invoices from order. Ship items we have seen. We just saw that convert to order and from that we posted the shipment. It created a posted shipment document. It created item ledger entries, updated our inventory. Now remaining part we will see the invoicing part and others. So what we did is we did partial shipping, not the full shipping. Full or partial shipment from sales or undo shipment. We have seen undo shipment also. Undo shipment can be done until unless you have invoiced it. If you have invoiced it, you cannot do undo shipment. Invoice items. Okay, let me check what is the payment method. Payment method is bank. Balancing account is not specified. So we will have to create separate document for payment, processing payment. Let's say now we invoice and we have shipped quantity 20. No, sorry, quantity shipped is 20 for this one, second line. For the first line, it is 0. If you want to invoice it, here we are, by default, it's coming 20 as quantity to invoice and 50 as invoice. If we just invoice it, let's see what will happen. It will not allow, it will give some. Okay, quantity to invoice. Okay, it has invoiced whatever was shipped. So it has invoiced 20 for the second line. For the first line, nothing is invoiced as of now. For the second line, 20 shipped, 20 invoiced. Related documents, invoices. So this is the posted sales invoice which is created now. For the first item, quantity is 0. For the second item, 20. Total amount is 10,000 plus 600, 10,600. Let's see what are the entries created. Find entries. So this process has created our customer ledger entry, GL entry, financial impacts are there, tax entries, and detailed customer ledger entry, value entries. We can see customer ledger entry. $10,600. 10,000 is the amount without tax and 600 tax, so 10,600 is the total amount of this invoice. So now the balance on the customer card, if you go and check the balance, it will get updated. It will be updated. Not sample customer, rather I think it was add item. Earlier there was one entry only, and after we posted this invoice, the first entry is because of the first entry on screen is because of the posting of this current invoice. Now let's say if this customer is paying us in cash, or means at the time of collecting the goods, and we want to do that while posting the invoice itself, we want to receive the payment. So if the customer's payment method is cash, which is having balancing account number, let me show you. Cash is having balancing account number. If the balancing account number is specified, that payment method you use. And if you post an invoice, let's see what happens in that case. I'll create a one sales order, post invoice it. To quantity, 500 base price, 1000 total. There's no tax, I think. Payment method is cash. External document number, because at the setup sales and receivable setup, we defined that external document number is mandatory, so we will have to enter external document number. And because it is mandatory, that's why it is showing star also. So it could be your customer's order documents, purchase order number. Okay. So now when text group code, 6% tax is added. So amount of the invoice is 1060. Posted invoice is created, and I am opening the posted invoice, posted sales invoice. And if we check, not find entries, GL entries, more number of GL entries are created, and then in this step itself, it will process the payment also. Let's see customer ledger entries. So there are two customer ledger entries created. In the earlier document, there was only one customer ledger entry created, which was of type invoice, whereas now two customer ledger entries are created, one for invoice, second for payment. So in this step itself, payment is also done. And the invoice was of 1060. Okay, and the payment is of 1038. So because I think this is due to payment terms, 2% discount or something is applicable here. original amount 21.20 has gone into payment discount. Now the invoice is posted. Your transaction is complete, you have shipped it, invoiced it, and everything is done. Later on, if you realize there was some issue in the invoice, you entered the amount wrong or something, there is provision to correct it. You can correct it, and in that correct, you get 3 options: correct, cancel, create corrective credit memo. Because it is already fully or partially paid, so we cannot correct it. But for the previous one, because the payment is received, that's why we cannot correct it. Otherwise, let's say the previous one, which is not yet paid, posted sales invoice. This is not yet paid. We will be able to correct it. Quantity invoiced is 0. Nothing is invoiced. So that has rolled back the posting of sales invoice. Okay. We saw posting of sales invoice from sales order. We can do what we saw is order by order. There could be a possibility that you have done various shipments and you want to combine those shipments in one invoice. So that can be done. For that, we will create one invoice and we can copy document. Okay, so next one, drop shipment. I was talking about drop shipment initially. Let's say the customer has requested early delivery and you don't have the goods in your warehouse. You procure it from your vendor, and instead of bringing it to your warehouse, you request your vendor directly to ship to your customer. Or for example, if you are based in Delhi and your vendor and customer both are in Bangalore, so instead of bringing the goods from Bangalore to Delhi and then sending it back to Bangalore, you can save some on shipping charges and all. You can request your vendor to directly deliver to your customer. So that's something called process drop shipment. So in that case, what we will do is we will create the sales order, create a linked purchase order, link these two, and once the purchase orders receiving is done, sales order shipment will be done. So you have customer. This is our Kronos company, customer and vendor. Customer has contacted Kronos. Customer has placed a purchase order, which will become your sales order. And then you contact your vendor, place your purchase order, link these two, and then vendor sends the goods to your customer. Then you can invoice to customer separately and receive invoice. recurring sales line. So we can create recurring sales line at the okay, recurring sales on the customer card. For example, recurring sales line one code is generated and it is defined, and edit list card. So we can define which various items are defined. Okay. Sales order. Functions. Get recurring sales lines. So this way we can get the recurring sales lines. These are the periodic every week or every month or something, which are the periodic recurring sales line. Which these are the items which this customer requires every week, every month, or every at a defined interval frequency. Correct posted sales invoice that we have seen. Similarly, we can process returns. So in between, Umesh, do we have any questions?
Yeah, so we have certain questions. This is more related to the questions like we will topic for future. Some people are actually asking for future functional year, maybe financial year and closing activity, accounts schedule, trial
Okay.
balance sheet analysis
By dimension.
business dimension, yeah, manufacturing module.
Mhm.
And I think there was one more question related. No, yeah. So I think this is the only one question
Okay.
what
There
we
is one
have
more
as a
question from
future topic. Yeah.
Divyanshi. Yeah. Yeah, there is one more question from Divyanshi. If the IRN generated after the use, that use correct option in posted sales invoice? Divyanshi, if you want to unmute, you can ask that question in detail.
Yeah, correct. So in case Divyansh, I think he's not able to unmute himself.
Yep, I think that's fine. I think you have confirmed that that is the correct option. So maybe we can check towards the end of the session.
Sure, sure. Okay.
Pointing to any questions before some chat. Okay.
So another question is about the partial undo is possible. And then maybe future sessions, cost accounting, they want to understand.
Partial undo. No, I think when we undo, we get the option. We don't get the option to undo partially.
Correct, correct. That's what my understanding as well.
Line wise, only we do undo. So it is possible that you ship 10 lines, 10 items. You can undo line by line. But if you have shipped 10 quantities and if you want to undo only 5 or some of those, then I think that possibility is not there.
Okay, okay.
So coming to receiving payment. So what we have done is we have invoiced to customer, and now is the time to receive money. And I think ultimately businesses are for money. So if we don't receive the money, there's no point. So let's cover that part also. So receiving the money. So there are a couple of provisions for that. Register customer payments. This is shortest and fastest. Generally, earlier we used to use cash receipt journal, but payment registration setup using this, we can do it in a faster way. So this payment registration setup is one time, and once it is done, so let's say it's done, and then we will see various open invoices of customers. And for Adatum, I think there was one of 10,600. This was the last one. Let me just check customer ledger entries. Okay, this was remaining amount is 0. Okay, only this one is remaining 81,700. Others are remaining is 0, and open will also be false, whichever is already paid or closed. So for Adatum, this amount is remaining. So payment made, if we say payment made, if this customer has paid us fully, so then we can do it that way. If let's say the customer is paid partially, only 30,000 out of that money, so we enter that. Now 30,000 is paid, remaining is this 51 whatever is remaining, and then we can post payment. And if we go and check Adatum's customer ledger entry again, or balance, I want to check the balance. Earlier it was 81,000 something, and out of that 81,000, remaining is 517. Okay, and 30,000 is paid. That's how we have received that 30,000 amount. So payment registration is one way. The second is using cash receipt journal or journal. So I think that's all for now. And these are various links for learning Business Central. If you want to learn Microsoft from Microsoft Learn, there are some labs associated with the exam MB800. So you can.
Sir, we are not able to see your screen. Only Business Central is popping up.
Oh, sorry. I think. Can you see now?
Yes, we can see now. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So these are various links for learning paths. For example, we have learning path from Microsoft. There is an exam also associated with Business Central, so which is called MB 800, and there is a lab on GitHub. People can try that.
Sorry, Dhanraj, BC Business Central. Are you sharing PPT or the Business Central screen?
PPT. PPT.
We are seeing the Business Central.
Maybe some refreshing issue at somewhere. Umesh, I think you are able to see PPT, right?
Yes, yes, PPT I am able to see.
Okay,
Request to please paste the URLs in the chat window so that participants can actually go through it. And there is one question, final question we will take. So basically there are two questions. Impact of change charge items in sales invoice. Is the cost load on item? So one question is this. And the other question is, what is the difference between balance and balance due to customer master?
1 minute. More actions. Show conversation. Just a minute. Let me post the link
Sure.
and all this.
Sure.
So what was the first one? Item charge related. Will it load on the item cost, right?
Yes.
So item charge yeah, it will load on the customer. For example, when you are buying it from your vendor and you receive a invoice for freight, and if you want to load that as the charges on that item, so we can use item charges. We can then there we get options to divide it equally or divide based upon quantity or divide based upon amount. Okay, so if we go with that, so that additional cost will get added to items cost.
Okay.
I hope
So yeah.
I hope that answers this question.
Correct. Yeah. So next question is about the difference between the balance and the balance due to customer master. So Rohit, you can unmute yourself and talk to us. No problem.
Yeah, actually, sir, we are talking about sales, not purchase part. Actually, at the time of sales invoice, if we added charge item,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
so it will impact, it will load on item or it will go somewhere else. Yeah.
So that you are charging to your customer, right? Separately.
Right.
So are we talking about the impact on the items cost? So if it's about you have received or you are paying to your vendor, okay, and paying to your vendor for the shipment or transportation or something, and if you want to load that, so that will impact your costing of the item. But when you are charging it to your customer and there you load item charges, then in that case I think it will not impact the costing.
So it will go in separate account.
That's my understanding, but we can do it, give it a try. But I think it will go in separate account.
Okay. Thank you. So can it possible we make one invoice for two separate means like in one invoice I got for item and one invoice we got for freight charges, and we want to get the both invoice in one invoice, sales invoice.
We can do that.
How
That option is
can
there.
you can you tell
Dhanraj,
me?
Gulshan this side. Can I just add
Yeah.
one point into this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sure,
So the
sure.
question has been asked whether what happens when we add item charge on the sales side. So if you go
Yeah.
to the value entry, you will see a field called non-inventoriable cost. So when we add any item charges on the sales side, it goes to non-inventoriable. And if you check the item profitability, then definitely it impacts the item profitability. But if you do on the purchase side, yes, it directly loads on the cost and it is inventoriable cost. But at the end, it impacts the profitability. And yes, it loads on the cost. The only difference is the field which impacts on the value entry. So that is inventoriable versus non-inventoriable. When it is purchased, it is inventoriable, and when it is sales, it is non-inventoriable. So that is the only difference I have observed.
Okay, thanks for adding that.
Yeah, thank you, Gulshan.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think if you have any questions, please post directly to Dhanraj, or you can reach out to our group and LinkedIn pages. And I think thank you, Dhanraj sir. It was a very nice session, and I'm very happy that I hosted this session. Thank you all for joining, taking some time on Sundays, Saturdays, basically weekends, from your personal time. So thank you once again for joining.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks
Thank
for
you. Thanks a
sparing your
lot.
time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot, Dhanraj. I really learned a lot around the Business Central today, and you have shown the complete sales process from quotation to delivery to invoice. So it's really helpful for people who are not from Business Central background but have Dynamics experience. So it was really helpful for me. Really appreciate it.
Yep. It was me
Great.
helpful also. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for your initiative for starting this user group.
Yep. Thank
No,
you.
thank you. I just
Yeah. Thanks,
go ahead.
Dhanraj.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we good to close now or?
Yeah. We are closing the call. I'm stopping the
Yep.
presentation as well. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.